Hello and happy holidays, and welcome to the Get Out of Gaming Plus podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben.
I am Alex.
And again, happy holidays. Hope you're enjoying your holiday season. This is a pre recorded because Alex and I like to take a break after doing podcasts all year round. We'll be coming back sometime after the first of the year to keep going. But until then, pre recorded. You can listen to this. You can always check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And this will be not only an audio, but it'll be on YouTube as well. So definitely check out our YouTube. Uh, this will be on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast audio part from. You act like I've never done this before. Yeah, yeah.
Rusty.
So yeah, I feel a little rusty today. This is why we take breaks. Yeah, so we are going to do a ranking of Christmas films. Before I get started, I want to put a disclaimer out here. Okay. This is not every single Christmas film because it would be filled with Hallmark trash. I'm going to say it. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't like Hallmark films. But I thought these were both ones that Alex and I have both seen and would both, like, and we watched several times so we could rank these videos here. I mean, Alex, you looked at the list. Do you think it looks pretty good?
Yeah, I think so. Don't we technically have a Hallmark one on here?
Which one's the Hallmark one?
Isn't isn't the Christmas Carol musical technically a Hallmark? I thought it was. Maybe it's not.
When I mean Hallmark, I
I know
think
what you
the
mean.
ones, yeah, it's all those people from the 80s and 90s that were on TV that can't be on TV anymore. Like the girl that plays Sabrina, the teenage witch from back in the day, she's like on 90% of those.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, it's funny because it's like she plays the same type of character in each one, or it's a single mom and they're spending Christmas alone and they meet this nice man and they get together. Uh, and I'm not knocking Hallmark films. My wife watches them. If you enjoy those, I personally think they're all junk.
Oh, never mind. It was NBC.
There you go.
That
See,
makes more sense. There's a lot of good people in this film, so never mind.
are you saying in a Hallmark film there's
I'm
not?
just saying they don't have budget. I'm saying like they could probably only afford one good person and that's it. Whereas like this other film we're gonna talk about like has some big actors in it. So
I like how you said that. Well, for a Hallmark film, they can only afford this. There is a Hallmark streaming channel. Did you know this?
no, I did not.
I'm my wife every year is like, "Can we get it just for 2 months?" And I say yes because it's that 'tis the season. She will watch nothing but these movies, and I've tried watching them, and I'm just
They're
like,
just the
I
same
f-
movie every single time,
yeah,
just with
yeah,
different types of people.
exactly. So, I mean, I just every time we watch them, she goes, "No, this one's different. This is about this." I'm like, I feel like it's just the same recycled story. They're just throwing it all in there, and just because it happens at Christmas doesn't mean it's a Christmas film.
Yeah.
Also, just so you know, there's no Die Hard on this list. There's no Gremlins. I watch Die Hard and Gremlins every year, but we decided to keep those off the list. There's also no short specials like Rudolph, Frosty, because they're only like 30 to 40 minutes. These are full fledged movies. So we wanted to kind of keep with that. I see you
Why?
looking at the list.
No, I'm looking at. I just thought of a Christmas movie, but I don't think it is a Christmas movie. I think it just takes place on Christmas the first day. Because I thought of Sandra Bullock's While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah. I looked at it, but I think it's only like one.
Because I think it bookends. Like I think it like starts on Christmas and it might end on Christmas. Um, because that's when. So now we're gonna talk about a movie that's not even on this list, but like that's the one where like she works at like a subway booth and then she sees the guy who like faints or like almost trips and falls into the subway and like rescues him, and he like has a concussion, and then she like pretends to be that guy's boyfriend so she can, or fiance I think, so she can stay in the hospital and check up on him. But yeah, I think it takes place on Christmas. It's a good movie, but
Yeah, oh, it is. It is. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. But we tried to stick to Christmas movies here. Um, it starts with S, obviously, S, A, B, C, D, and F. And after talking to Alex, after looking at this, there will probably be some Fs on this list here. Um, let's just jump right into it. And let's start with a little film by the name of Elf.
So Elf. So I don't know if you know this. I might have said this before. I really don't like Will Ferrell overall. Like as like an actor and everything. He's very typecasted. He does the same stuff over and over again. Elf is a really good film though. Elf is an
Yes.
excellent film. I think Elf probably deserves to be on S tier because that is a film that never gets old. And I think I watch it at least once a year because it just happens to be on TV while I'm visiting family. And we all just watch it.
Yeah.
I think it does a lot of really good things with like homage to those specials that we're not talking about on here today, like Frosty Snowman and all that kind of stuff, the stop motion. But then also just Elf has like a great cast in it.
Great cast, great director. I think I like it. I know my wife gets annoyed with it. She doesn't like Will Ferrell either. But I said the reason I think I like it so much because it does make me feel like those old specials.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great, like film and I like some of the characters, like the guy that works in the store he's in, where he's pretending, what I find hilarious is he's in a store and he's working, right?
Yeah.
No one knows that he's not really a worker there. He's just
He
there.
doesn't even get paid, I don't think. There's like, oh,
No,
here you go.
I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
No, I think you know what? I think it should be an S tier.
Yeah.
No matter what you think of it, you watch it every year. And it's not just me, like my mom watches it probably 2-3 times around that
Yeah.
time of year.
Same with mine. I'm trying to think though. Is this the first time I've ever seen Zoe Deschanel? Because I feel like
No,
for me, I think it is.
maybe. I know she had some smaller roles.
Okay. Yeah, I think it is for me because she was in Elf, and then I really know her from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like that's when I first like recognized who she was because she didn't have the blonde hair. And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was 2005, and Elf is 2003. And then
Okay.
500 Days of Summer is 2009. So like I feel like Elf kind of, I don't know if it necessarily kickstarted her career, but like it definitely put her on the map.
Yeah, maybe. And I feel like a lot of these films we're going to talk about, um, some of these films kickstarted one we just talked about like a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
That kickstarted his career.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Are you still thinking S for him?
Yes, I'm still thinking S for Elf.
I can't disagree with that. I think most of the films on this list are gonna be pretty good. I don't think there's only one or two there's only one probably we'll disagree with on there, and I still watch it every single year. Only once, not multiple times.
Yeah.
So all right, so we're starting off pretty good. So let's go to It's a Wonderful Life.
It's fine. So with a lot of the older ones, they're inoffensive, you know, like they're straight C's, I would say, for a lot of these. Like I don't think there's anything bad, I don't think there's anything
Right.
great. I will say that the acting in this I remember is really good, just in general, but and it's very not plagiarize is word, like there's a lot of homages to it and references and parodies everywhere for this film specifically. Yeah, so like I think that this is probably just a C for me because I feel like I've seen parodies and homages done much better than the actual film itself. But I think it's still a good film.
No, I totally agree. I was gonna say that I feel like this is a C as well. And I love the parodies because they did a Married with Children parody of this. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Do you know who the ghost was?
Uh-uh.
Sam Kinison.
Really?
Yeah, so he just screams the whole thing. Yeah, this is one of my dad's favorite films. He watches it every year.
Yeah.
When they come over to my house for the holidays, we always put it on. It's not one of my favorite older ones.
Mm-hmm.
But we watch it. I don't think it's one of my favorite ones. Another film on here is probably the one I watch at least twice a year that's older. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's not. So I definitely could see that as a C. So
Mm-hmm.
all right. So moving on is the next one is Krampus. And I think you said you hadn't seen it,
I have
right?
not seen Krampus. I understand that it's not that scary or anything, but like there's certain movies I just don't gravitate towards. But now that you've kind of explained it to me off camera, I'm more interested in it. And remembering that Adam Scott is in it, I really like Adam Scott right now since he just finished Severance. So I kind of want to watch more stuff with him. So yeah, I mean, I trust you.
It's got a crazy good cast. So not only him, but Tony Collette's in it. So basically, it's about a little boy who is writing his letter to Santa, and he gets so tired of his family because his cousins are always beating up on him, and his family always is not nice to each other, and they always talk trash. So he rips up his letter and throws it away and wishes kind of that there's no Christmas. Well, unfortunately, Krampus is real. And when you do this, Krampus comes and takes you away. So basically, it's just Krampus and his creatures throughout the whole film coming to get him and his family.
Huh.
Very dark comedy. Shane Black, I think, was the director. So the same guy that did one of the Iron Man movies.
I'm
And
looking
what
here. Michael Dougherty, Dougherty or whatever. That's
said
the
the
director.
director?
Yeah.
Maybe he was writer. I don't know. I thought he had something to do with it. Um, it's definitely like a C.
Mm-hmm.
It's between a B and a C for me because I just loved it. I laughed a lot of it, but I would keep it as a C, a high C.
You want
Um,
above Into Wonderful Life?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, you should definitely watch it.
All right.
So this one here, is it Violent Christmas?
Yeah.
Um, well, it is exactly that. So the premise of this one is a family is visiting their very rich. It's the son visiting his rich mother with his family, and they are taken over by people that are trying to get their money because they're very rich and well connected. And so the little girl is trying to hope and that Santa could come save them. And um, Santa at this point is just feeling there's no real Christmas cheer. Um, what you find out is Santa is based off somebody from Viking,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then he decided to become Santa and has been Santa ever since. So he starts killing these terrorist guys pretty violently. I think at one point he was fighting with a sledgehammer. Uh, extremely violent. But it was funny. I would put it as a C. It's not much more than that. And you said you hadn't seen this one.
No, I haven't seen this one either, but like this is written by like this is a good cast too.
Yeah.
It's written by co-written by Josh Miller, who does who did like Sonic the Hedgehog and other stuff like that. But John Leguizamo's in it. All right, let's go.
Yeah. And not only that, it's got Hopper from I think it's like one of his he was really popular at this point, and he took this because supposedly there's a sequel in the works,
That's why I just saw. Yeah, there's a sequel in development.
which he talks about Mrs. Claus. So if he's of Viking descent, I want to see what Mrs. Claus looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy. But yeah, I thought it was still pretty good. So this one I'm kind of worried about what we're gonna. So I have a couple of them on here, but this is the Grinch with Jim Carrey. I don't like this film at all.
I hate this film.
Okay, so we're on the same page. Didn't Ron Howard do this one?
Oh, he might have. Let me look that up.
I know his daughter is in it. You can't tell because she's like one of the Who's, but
Yeah. Ron Howard. Yeah. Um, I think Jim Carrey is perfect casting for this.
no, I agree.
And I think he does a really good job with what he's given and like the way that he does things. I love that little tidbit of like when he tries to there's like that scene where he pulls the tablecloth and he's supposed to like mess everything up, but he accidentally pulls it perfectly so nothing falls over. And so he walks back in shot and just like pushes everything off the table. Like that was just improv. Um like there's a lot of good acting in this film, but like this
Yeah.
film sucks.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
I don't think it's an F though.
I would say it's a D.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
thinking.
and the reason I think that is because I think it's an okay film. I don't think it's like a great film, but the acting is done really well in it. I guess my thing is that movie should not be like an hour and 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it
Not
is.
only that, isn't that movie like, if I remember correctly, what's that movie rated?
I want to say PG.
Is it? Okay, because isn't there like a key party or something in that film too? And you're like, what is this doing in here?
Yeah, I mean maybe I just remember like my kids will watch it. There's another film on this list here that they watch more of, which I think is better. I guess I grew up watching the old Grinch with Boris Karloff doing the reading
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But this one just didn't seem. I just don't like this one
Yeah.
at all. I don't like the music either. I'll throw that out there. I'm gonna get hate in the comments, but I don't. I just don't like it. So if you're cool with it as being a D,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like I don't think you necessarily get hate. I don't know. There's two types of people. It depends on the the demographics that are watching. There are the people who are probably my age and older. And then there's the people who are a little bit younger than me and younger. And I think we're at that point where we prefer the old stuff. Um, Whereas the newer kids, I don't know how many of them actually watch the original, you know? Like I really don't. Like they might have read the book or something, but like I don't know if they've actually watched the original special. So
oh, I made sure my kids got to watch the original. I will throw that out there.
it's really short too.
Yeah, it's only like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So yeah, I think it's a perfect one for that. Okay, so the next one is White Christmas. Now, I started watching this one because this is what my grandparents watched every year when we would go visit for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like this one. I don't mind it at all. Now, here's the thing: it's definitely an older film.
Mm-hmm.
If you're expecting it to be all about Christmas, it's not. Um, it's your typical movie of this time period where there's more of a love story involved.
Yeah.
But and you can disagree with me on this if you want. I think this is a B. I think the music's great. I think it's if you look at it, it was such a huge budget for that time period.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
you know, and I think it's great. I think it's one of the few times where you would see um everyone drank coffee like crazy for the time period. Everyone smoked, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to smoke. And everyone drank like fish. So but yeah, I think it's definitely a B. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I agree with that. Yeah, like you said though, yeah, like yeah, the budget was only 2 million or was 2 million, which is a lot. And their box office was 30 million.
Isn't that crazy for the time period?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, Bing Crosby, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, him and Danny Kaye were pretty big around then.
Yeah.
Um, but not only that, Rosemary Clooney's in it.
Mm-hmm.
So George Clooney's aunt.
Yeah.
Um, but I just think it's a well done movie, and we watch it every single year. It is, I will tell you, some movies when they go to 4K that are this old, this movie looks even better in 4K.
Oh yeah, I'm
They
sure.
did it, they did 4K right. I know me
Nice.
and you have talked about it, like where they can take an older movie and put it in 4K and it's not done very well and you
Yep.
just see too much. This
AI,
one was done perfect.
too much AI upscaling instead of actually natively doing things and scanning film. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely native. So I'm glad we picked B on that. So the next one I'm gonna let you pick. I've not seen it, but I didn't even know this was made. So
Yeah, I mean, this is another musical here. It's a Christmas Carol from 2004. It's a made-for-TV movie, but it's long enough to be like an actual movie. Like it's on DVD and stuff like that. Um, at least I want to say it's long enough. It stars Kelsey Grammer. It's based on the 1994 musical by Alan Menken. So it has great music just right there. It has Jennifer Love Hewitt in here, Jason Alexander, um, and I mean Fraser Crane. You know, he's always been able to sing. Like Kelsey Grammer's always been able to sing, but to see him actually in his element, I think it's really cool to see. I don't think it's a great film, to be honest. Like I feel like this is more of an A tier, but I think it's one of the best Christmas carols I've ever seen, like straight up like actual Christmas carol, compared to like other things later on this list that are like pseudo Christmas carol. So but yeah, for 2004, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's 87 minutes long. Everyone does a really good job in it. And yeah, as we found out, it's apparently just on Amazon Prime, so you can probably watch it. But I don't think it's an A. I mean, I don't think it's a S or anything. I think it's probably A.
I mean, I'm gonna let you have it because I've never seen it. Which was crazy when we were talking about this. I'm like, really? And so I looked it up and I go, hey, it's on Prime. He's like, what? I said, yeah, you can watch it on Prime.
Yeah, because I
Which is
had to get
crazy.
a DVD from the library from another library like a long time ago.
That's crazy. I think the we're seeing more things come onto streaming every day, you know?
Yeah.
So that's good. Okay, so the next one is Nightmare Before Christmas. Classic. I am a huge Tim Burton fan, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And the cast in this movie is ridiculous. So you've got um oh my gosh, like first off, I did not know that Paul Rubens was in this. He is one of the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Um so you got Danny Elfman who does the singing and stuff, and then just a great cast. This movie took 10 years to make, number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a musical. It's about Jack the Pumpkin King. I don't need to tell anyone the plot here. Everyone knows this. I'm going to put this in the S tier, and you may not agree. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
No, yeah, I think that's a good place for this. I was skating along A to S, like I wasn't
Oh, it's
sure where, but what you've said, like how iconic it is, it created a gothic emo generation from Hot Topic, along with Invader Zim. But like, you know, just like teenagers would wear this stuff all the time.
yeah,
They don't anymore. And it has its own video game. It was in Kingdom Hearts multiple times.
yeah.
The actual like curling hill is so iconic. And just like that scene particular like on like the most of the covers, I would say, is just so iconic there. So yeah, like I definitely agree. I really like a lot of the music in this, and I think it is a great film for sure.
It's funny because it literally, if you look at Tim Burton films, it's the same people that he puts. So Catherine O'Hara is in it. Danny Elfman does the music, and then he also does the singing for Jack. Um, it's definitely like his type of movie. The mayor is the same guy that plays Otho from Beetlejuice. These are his people. Like anytime Tim Burton does a movie, he puts the same type of people in there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you thought that because I was worried. I was like, oh man. This one is definitely not an S tier, but it's Ernest Saves Christmas. I wanted to throw it in here. It's okay. It's not great. It's anyone that's ever seen Ernest movies, Scared Stupid is fantastic.
Scared
It's one of
Stupid is great. That's probably his best one.
that is his best one. Made the most money. This one was okay.
Mm-hmm.
The plot for this one is Santa is coming to the States because he needs to find a replacement. And so he bumps into his first person is Ernest P. Worrell, the cab driver. And so Ernest finds out he's Santa, and this whole thing kind of goes because Santa accidentally leaves his bag in the car. Um, it's a great movie. It really is. It's is it better than Pee Wee's Playhouse Christmas? Probably not. But it is more Ernest P. Worrell being stupid.
Yeah.
It's the same people that are in there. It's a C.
I'd
I don't know
say
if
it's
you've
the
seen
I
it.
feel like it's probably the highest C there.
I agree. Yes. I don't know if you've
Any
seen it.
Ernest movie is always fun. Um,
Yes.
I don't think there's a bad Ernest movie, to be honest.
I just bought Ernest Scared Stupid earlier this year on Blu-ray. So,
Nice.
uh, and yeah, and I own it digitally too because I accidentally bought it on there. I thought I was renting it. By the way, Ernest Scared Stupid is still too scary for my littles. Um, we tried watching it; it didn't go well. It's a little scary. So yeah, but we're not talking Halloween right now. We're talking Christmas.
Yeah.
So let's move to Arthur's Christmas. Uh, this one's okay. I think it's a cute story of Santa's son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I think the animation's really, really good for
oh
this.
yeah, it's very good.
Because it's Sony Pictures Animation. This is like, where is it? 2011. This is where they started to find a lot of their stride and like having more of an identity to themselves.
Mhm.
Of like how they look and like just how everything feels. Um, yeah, I remember I've seen this movie maybe a couple times now. And both times I've enjoyed this. I don't know how high I put it. I probably feel like it's more in the C range still. But it's interesting because for some reason I thought it was a different person, but no, yeah, no, it's James McAvery. Um, or James McAvoy, that's what his name. He's the main guy. He in that, I believe. So yeah, like Hugh Laurie's in it, Bill Nye. Um, so many different people in this, but yeah, I think it's a C. I just don't know where in C.
I think it's like after Ernest, and
Okay.
the reason I say that because it is very well done. The animation's great. Um, so I think it's a good film. I think the story's cute. Um, and there's a lot of British people in it, which is makes it even better. It's kind of like it literally is like a list of British, well, except for McAvoy, but like you know, European, famous people doing voices, which is I think at the time frame when this came out was kind of like, wow, that's a lot of people. So
Mm-hmm.
so the next one is Home Sweet Home Alone. This came out like 2 years ago. Um, it's not a sequel or a prequel to Home Alone. It's just another Home Alone movie. And Alex and I were talking about the other three that came out after Home Alone 2 without Macaulay Culkin that were just awful. This one's really good. It's about Max, same kind of story as like Kevin, where his family's all there. They're getting ready to go to Japan for Christmas. It's all crazy. It's all just messed up. And he decides to go to his mom's car to watch on his iPad and falls asleep and wakes up and everyone's gone. So, him making the same thing of that. And so, I think it's pretty well done. Um, the people that are breaking into the house are breaking into the house because they think he stole a doll. They're having some money problems. They found out this doll that was the one main guy um, is worth like $100,000 to get him out of debt. So they're breaking into the house to get the doll back, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole scene with all the traps is just hilarious. It literally is like Home Alone 1, but it's a couple. And they're actually not meaning him any harm. They're just wanting the doll back. And once the things are figured out, it's pretty cute. Uh, but these people get the crap kicked out of them. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Uh, he used a potato gun with billiard balls in it. There's a part where she has to take her shoes off because she can't, they're stuck to something, and she walks in this room and it's full of Legos.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the guy got it the worst because he got shot in the face with the potato gun with a billiard ball in there. He fell down the stairs like 3 times. it's pretty good. Um, I would suggest anybody to watch it. And there is a small part from Keenan Thomas in there that's pretty hilarious.
Hmm.
Have you seen this one?
No, I'm looking at it. I think I might have seen pieces of it, but like I have not seen it. But like no, yeah, no, like you said, like there's a lot of good people in this. Like you
Yeah.
said, Keenan Thompson, Chris Parnell, I mean Ellie Kemper. Like, yeah, there's a lot of good people in this.
I would
Sure.
suggest anyone to watch it. Now, as a parent, we've watched all the Home Alones. After two, they're all trash. I'm sorry. That's just me. They're just bad. Um, even the one with Stuart French, that one's just probably the worst. But this was really good. It really brought back that Home Alone 5. And spoiler alert, Buzz is in it and he plays Buzz, which is even funnier because it's
Mm.
in the same area. I would say this is I want to say an A. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think it's better than, I've not seen the Christmas Carol one, but at least go after Christmas Carol.
Sure.
All right. So this one here is not one of my favorites. I don't like it. It is Polar Express or the Tom Hanks Christmas movie. I don't really like this one. I read Polar Express to my kids every year, along with the Grinch. I don't like this movie at all. I don't know if it's just the animation or what. I feel like this gets more hype than it really should as a movie. I didn't like it. I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think technically it's a marvel. How all this stuff works, how everything's motion tracked and all of that. Um I think it's the most annoying movie I've ever watched though. Um yeah, like I mean, I do not like this movie. And I don't think we're necessarily in the minority of this. I think there are a lot of people who do not like this movie as well. Like I like Tom Hanks, but like
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is every single person, like it just gets old really fast. But also just the movie isn't really that entertaining.
No, I think it's funny every time I bring this up. My wife's like, "You don't like this movie?" I said, "No, I do not. It is not one of my favorites." Um, and we had to make this list fair. That's why we put movies on here we know we didn't like. Uh, I want to say this is a D for me.
Yeah. Um yeah, I would say that. I think Ron Howard's The Grinch is better than that.
Yeah, I agree. It just wasn't my thing. I don't know. Um, so this next film is called Jack Frost. No, it's not the one about the killer snowman, which is pretty hilarious. Um, this one's with Michael Keaton, who passes away and comes back as a snowman. I'm gonna go on the record and say I didn't like this one either. Um,
Yeah.
I did not like this film. It should Christmas should not be this sad. Um, you know, and it's just a boy grieving, missing his father, and his dad comes back as a snowman. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think it was that good at all. Everyone loves it. They're like, "Oh, it's such a great sad story."
The CG is really bad for it too, even for its time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, it's a D. I don't think it's. I think it goes after Polar Express.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I've never liked this movie either. I just remember being a child and going to a rental store and seeing the other Jack Frost because it had a holographic cover where like it looked like a snowman and then you looked at it a different way and it had like its big teeth coming at you.
Yeah, I just watched both of those a couple weeks ago. Oh, Tubi. They're really bad, but
Yeah.
they're so bad that they're good. Um,
Yeah. Those are the days.
better than it's along the same lines as this one. So,
Yeah.
all right. So now we have 8-Bit Christmas. So this came out, I want to say maybe last year. So this has Neil Patrick Harris. It's one of those ones where he's telling a story to his daughter. He's grown up, but he's talking about back in the 80s. he for Christmas all he wanted was a Nintendo Entertainment System. So of course I watched this. The first time I watched it, I'm like, this was not good at all. But I watched it a second time recently. It's not bad. It's basically Christmas Story, but with a Nintendo. I think that's the best way. So you have somebody talking in the background, and they do flashback where they talk with Neil Patrick Harris and his daughter, and they go back and forth between that and when Neil Patrick Harris's character was a kid. There's some funny stuff in there. I think it's okay. I definitely think it's more of like a high C. I
S-
see you smiling, so I
So
don't know.
so I haven't seen this movie, but you already unsold it for me by saying a certain thing and describing it as something. Um, I trust you. Where you want it though.
It's definitely one you should watch. I just don't think it's anything too spectacular.
Yeah, where you want it
Uh,
in the seas.
I can go next to. I don't want to. Maybe after Arthur's Christmas.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's awful. It's just okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. I think you should still watch it, Alex, because it has to do with obviously video games. And for me, when that came out, the Nintendo came out, we luckily already kind of we didn't hadn't got one yet, and that's what I wanted for Christmas, and I didn't get one. So you know, it was literally
Yeah.
the year that they came out because I think they came out in like October or November or something like that. Um,
Yeah, because yeah, this movie came out in 2021. So,
yeah,
well,
a couple years ago.
I don't know. Was that the Genesis that year though? That might have been the Genesis year or the Super
Maybe
Nintendo year.
all I know is it they they recreated everything so great because
Yeah.
it's the same year people were trying to get Cabbage Patch dolls, which was
Mm-hmm.
definitely 80s. So
Okay. Yeah,
it's
but
it's
yeah.
worth a watch.
All right. Yeah, maybe someday if it's still on
So
Max.
oh, it's gonna be there. It's like their film.
Okay.
Uh
You would think.
so yeah. The next one is Friday After Next. And okay, before people are starting to hate, this movie literally takes place at Christmas Eve.
Nope.
So Ice Cube and his cousin Day Day had the rent stolen from their apartment by a dude dressed up as Santa Claus. And now they're trying to figure out how to get it. They have to get the rent today, or they're going to be kicked out on Christmas Eve. So this all takes place in one day. They're working as security guards. It's pretty funny. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's definitely got the humor. I didn't really think the second Friday movie was good, but this one's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish it was Chris Tucker. I don't think Mike Epps is as funny as Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
just me. But there's some funny stuff in here. Like this is we were talking about this. So Cat Williams is in this film, and I was like, this has got to be like the first movie he's been in. And we you looked it up, and it is, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
He
From what
is
I was looking at.
hilarious. He's a pimp in this. He's pretty hilarious. Have you seen this one or no? Or do you like kind of remember it or
Yeah, I've definitely seen this movie. Yeah, it's his very first film. Yeah, it's Cat Williams' very first film. I've definitely seen this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I remember enjoying it. I like the first Friday the best, obviously.
oh yeah.
Because again, like as you said, Chris Tucker. I love Chris Tucker. Um, but for this one, I don't think it's offensive or anything. So I feel like it's somewhere in the seas again. Like I feel like a
No,
lot of these are in the seas.
I agree with you. I think this is definitely a C film. Um it's not bad,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely like it's definitely got its moments where it's funny. Terry Crews plays a guy that just got out of prison, and so he still has a it's kind of a funny thing because he can't get out of the fact that he's out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so like everything he does, like the weightlifting and like hiding stuff and stuff like that is like pretty much him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where would you put it on the seas?
Um, Probably right in the middle.
I agree with that.
right.
All right. We're kind of cruising through the list, but this one I do like here. So it is Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Um, I love this film.
Yeah.
I him and Sinbad, and they're after a toy, which I've been there as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
where you got to get that one toy. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a dad who is too busy for his family. He always misses stuff, and he forgot to pre-order a special toy. And so the day of Christmas Eve, he literally is like trying to find this very popular toy. And it's just like the chaos that happens. Like back in the day when there was no internet, so you had to go to the malls and all that. So funny story. So not only is Jim Belushi in this film, but Vern Troyer's in this film and Big Show are in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's hilarious. It's got like a very Power Rangers vibe to it because this character is very Power Range like. Uh, I'm gonna put it as a B, unless you think it should go higher.
Um, was it Turbo Man? Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, I I think this is B to A territory. It could be a low A. Because yeah, Arnold and Sinbad make this, but like this movie came out in '96. When did Phil Hartman pass away? Because like this is one of Phil Hartman's last films, right? And Phil
Yeah, it's
Hartman's
pretty close.
excellent in this.
Oh my god, he's like the weird, creepy neighbor that hits on all the women that live in the neighborhood.
Yeah. 1998 is when he passed away. So this must be like one of his last films.
Also, you get to see Arnold punch a reindeer in the face,
Yeah.
which is worth it. Everything there. I mean, I almost want to give it to you for a low A. I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah, I think it deserves to be low A. This is one of those films. I haven't watched it in a long time, but this was one of those films that my older sister and I used to watch constantly. And then like what was it, like a couple years ago? You could buy a Turbo Man at like Walmart.
Oh yeah,
Like a real one.
yeah, and it looked exactly like the one from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because I almost bought one. I was like, "Dang, the kids aren't gonna play with this. It's
Yeah.
just be just in my room."
Yeah.
Love that movie. Now they did. I don't know if you do. They did a second one.
I saw
That's pretty.
2014.
Oh my god, that's just awful trash.
Larry the Cable Guy.
That should say everything right there. The guy that will do anything for a buck.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump to the next title, which is the Grinch, but it's the animated one. I think this one is well done.
Yeah.
This movie is so well done. I think it is. If not including the original, this is probably the best adaptation of the Grinch, hands down. Um, every time, have you seen this movie, Alex?
I've not seen all of it, but I have seen enough of it to have like I feel like a good opinion about it. Um it's I mean it's one of those Illumination films, and so
Yeah,
at this era especially, Illumination films are beautiful and very
yeah.
like color popping and all that kind of stuff. So like it's a treat to just look at. But yeah, no, I remember enjoying this film. From what I've seen of it, I remember enjoying a lot of it.
Every time there's a scene where they're looking for things in the woods, and there's this goat that just screams. It screams at the beginning and it screams at the very end of the film. It
Mm-hmm.
does the goat scream. Every time that happens, my wife just busts out laughing. Every single time. I don't mind watching this film, and the kids sometimes will watch it on repeat.
Yeah,
It's such a good film. Um, I'm thinking like an A.
yeah,
I don't know about you. I mean, definitely in between. I think it's around like Jingle All the Way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can agree with that. Um, Now, how's the video game though? Because don't you own that?
Yeah, so the video game is not good. The video game the video game is not from this Grinch. It's from the original Grinch.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought for
Yeah.
some reason I think the video game came out with this Grinch, but it isn't about that Grinch though.
No, so it's basically based off of the animated
Okay.
one from the old
Interesting.
one. I bought it for my son last year for Switch, and there was a couple parts where like you just literally can't get past. And so I tried helping him, and I'm like, God, this is dumb. Um, which they're having a re-release this year, so I'm not sure what that one is. I
Yeah,
saw
I
that the other day.
remember seeing, I think it was, yeah, I think it came out last year. Um, but I remember watching Kind of Funny play it because Snowbike Mike dressed up as the Grinch and he was playing it. I think like no one was like in the studio, so it was just like people hanging out during Christmas time. So I remember seeing parts of that game and I thought it looked pretty difficult for a kids game.
It's very difficult. Like you have to like a couple of the jumps you have to be right on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my son loves Grinch.
Yeah.
Um, now, granted, I try to buy a lot of the games for my kids that are like ones they would like. There's a Dogman movie coming out, and they're doing a Dogman game. That looks easier for kids,
Yeah.
but I feel like if they're really going to press for a kids game, they really should make it easier.
Yeah.
Not as good as the Grinch movie here. That movie's great. Um, Another movie that is kind of okay, but is hilarious, Bad Santa. So the first time I saw this, I didn't know what to see. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. Um, it's basically Billy Bob Thornton. I think it was John Ritter's last film, if I remember correctly, before he passed away.
Yeah, it would have to be
Yeah.
2003. Yeah.
It's got it's got them in it. Bernie Mac is in it. Um, it's about the Santa that robs stores during the Christmas. So him and his friend that plays an elf when they do these
Mm-hmm.
gigs, they pretend to be Santas, and then when the store closes, they rob the stores on Christmas Eve. That's what they do, and they just go from mall to mall. And so, like this one here, the problem is Billy Bob Thornton's character can't stop drinking and being rude and being vulgar and just it's definitely a rude, vulgar Santa. But he meets this kid who believes he's the real Santa and lets Billy Bob move into his house because his kid's grandmother is not all with it. It's a pretty good movie. Bernie Mac is hilarious
Yeah.
in it, and John Ritter is even funnier. The second one was okay. I didn't think the second one was as funny.
Mm.
I think this was so well received because it was like a ton of shock of listening to someone being a Santa talk that way. You know?
So, according to this, what I'm looking at, um, the Cohen brothers are executive producers, but if you look, they apparently created the story. They didn't write it,
Really?
but they created it and they're uncredited for that.
I mean, yeah, I think it's like I think it's another C. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a C as well.
I think it's a high C. I
Yeah.
just don't think it's
Probably like somewhere like right there between 8-bit and Fred. Not Fred,
yeah,
Arthur. I'm getting ahead of
yeah, I
myself.
still think no, you're fine. I still think Ernest and Arthur are higher.
Yeah.
And I haven't found there hasn't been one yet that has been close. So, yeah. All right. So this is one of my personal
I
favorites.
know.
It's Christmas with the Cranks. Have you watched this?
Yes, I have.
Okay. The reason this is so well done. So, first off, I don't really care that Tim Allen's in there, but his wife I love. Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis I love,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about their daughter is leaving to go across the country for some volunteer work in another country. And so they decide as a coping mechanism, they're not going to do Christmas anymore. Um, and so it goes down to we're not putting decorations out because of this. And so in their neighborhood, they all put up decorations. Dan Aykroyd is in this film. Um, it's such a good film. But well, what happens is they're getting ready to leave on their trip. They're mostly sad that their daughter, their only child, is gone, and so they didn't want to do everything. Well, they find out their daughter's coming back, and so now it's like everybody, including the whole neighborhood, trying to make sure that when she comes back, she has that traditional Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
there. I love this film. I think it's hilarious. The scene where Jamie Lee Curtis hits her head and she's in a tanning booth and
Mm-hmm.
she comes out and they give her a band-aid, right? And she's in this very small bikini and like her priest walks buy that. It's in a mall.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What's even funnier is Tim Allen comes walking out and he's wearing a banana hammock.
Hmm.
I mean, just all the stuff that happens where they try to escape Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, um, I want to say this is an A tier for me. I love this film. I watch it every single year, sometimes twice. I'm looking at Alex. Alex is like, I don't know if it's an A,
I'll give it to you.
maybe a B.
I'll give it to you. Where you want it?
I mean, it can go after the Grinch. I don't think it's better than some of the ones up there.
Mm.
I think I just think it's an A tier, but not, you know.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I definitely think it is definitely an A tier. Okay, so this one is A Miracle on 34th Street. Now, before anyone says anything that's listening, this is the one that was done in the 90s
Mm-hmm.
with the guy that played John Hammond in Jurassic Park. This is not the original black and white one.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna probably get more hate. I don't think it's very good. I think
Yeah.
it's okay. I think it's like a C, low C.
It's probably the lowest one here, to be honest.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think it's very okay. Um,
Yeah.
as well. Like I do like Richard Attenborough. Um, but oh yeah, Mara Wilson's in this as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it does anything too special for me, you know. So like and I don't think it's bad. So like I think it probably deserves to just be like lowest C possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's okay. It's just okay. I and even the original, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is like awesome. And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, so we have another Tim Allen movie. This must be like his list.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Santa Claus. Now he's done three plus a TV show. I didn't want to put all three in there. I wanted to just put the original in there.
It makes sense.
Um, before we even talk about it, I'm gonna say straight up say this is a B movie.
Yep.
I think it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got some really good cast in it. Him, Judge Reinhold. I just don't think it's an A tier movie.
Neither do I. But I also think
And
it's
I've
better than
watched
the
all of them.
C's.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's that iconic. This is when Tim Allen was blowing up. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, he was.
and I think it's great. I haven't even watched. Have you watched the new show?
No, I didn't, because I never seen the Jack Frost one, the third one.
It's not one of my favorites. It's probably one of the least favorite of the three for me. I think two is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just don't think. I'm glad the other ones aren't on here because they wouldn't rank very high.
Yeah.
Uh, two would probably be around there, but yeah, I agree. Oh, this one I put this one on here, and I have a backstory once we get into it. But I put A Christmas Story. Now, anyone that is listening that ever had cable and TNT or TBS, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, they played this movie all day long on repeat.
Yep.
Nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like this movie. I grew up with this movie. So the narrator of this and the guy that wrote the actual Christmas story um, was good friends with my dad way back in the day, before he passed away. Um, so I like this movie. I know Alex's thought on it. Um, I haven't watched it for like the last three Christmases though.
Yeah.
I mean, what about you? Did you? I know you don't like it.
Nah, this movie's trash. I hate it. I've always hated it. It's trying to like. I mean, I guess it's not trying to be that, but like, I've never liked anything about it. I've always hated how like campy it is, like too campy, in a
Yeah,
sense, because it just doesn't fit right, in my opinion. Um, I don't like the acting. I don't like the over topness again, which I guess is with the campy. Um, I just find this movie really boring for the most part, and it's one of those things where it's like I don't understand why people like this film compared to like other things where I'm like, yeah, I can see why you like this. I can see why you like this. But then you go and you see like you go to a store and you see that awkward like end table, you know, like the one from the movie, right? Because like isn't the one with like the leg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see that like in places, but it's like, why would you ever want this? Like I don't like that's like sure it's iconic for this film, but it's stupid. Like why would you ever do this? Like sure there's certain things that like I always hear, you know, the Red Rider BB gun, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. There's a lot of things and quotes and memorable things from it. In my heart of hearts, I say this is an F. In my actual like trying to be reasonable, I'd say this is probably a D.
I- I'll let you have the D. I don't think it's an F movie. I definitely think it's a D movie. I think the reason it's a D movie is because it was so overplayed when I was younger.
Same.
I think that's the big reason. If this was not done 24 hours a day at Christmas time, I think we would be having a different talk here, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just growing up, they would put this, my parents would turn on TBS or TNT until the point where my dad's like, okay, I can't watch this anymore. We're watching football or whatever. Right. Um, but it was 24 hours of this
Yep.
movie. And then when people think of Christmas, they automatically go to this film. Yeah. So I'll give that to you. Now this film, I love.
S
It
tier.
is Scrooge. I'm so glad you said that because I was Scrooged with Bill Murray. Oh my God, I love this film. So picture A Christmas Carol, but it's done with Bill Murray. And I think all of his brothers are in this film, to be honest.
Yeah.
So his nephew that plays his nephew in this film is actually his brother. I love this film. So basically, it really is that it's A Christmas Carol, but it's done in that time frame and it's done very modern. Um, so like the is it the first one, the Ghost of Christmas Past that beats up on him? Is that that the I
Yeah,
can't,
I think so. I forget her name.
Carol King?
Carol Kane. That's
Yes.
Christmas Present.
Yes. So she beats the crap out of him. That's how she gets him to go to new places.
Mhm.
This film is so good. This is like good classic Bill Murray. End of story. And I'm so glad you said S because I wanted to say S, but I was like, I just don't
And
know.
Karen Allen's in this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. Oh yeah, Bobcat. I love Bobcat. In this film, he's excellent, especially like at the
Oh my
end.
God, yes. Oh my gosh, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
Classic Bobcat too. Like this is what he used to his traditional character
Mm-hmm.
somewhat. I loved it. Uh it's a funny story. When I saw him talk in an interview a couple years ago, I was like, "Oh my God, you don't sound like that all the time." Like his old character.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, that was a character. That's the way I talked." It pretty blew my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 5 films left. I think we left some of the good ones for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about this one. So this is A Christmas Carol done by Disney. This is all CG.
Yep.
Um,
Another Jim Carrey.
yep, another Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey plays, I think, the voices of the ghosts. I'm pretty sure, and he plays Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah.
I don't like this one.
Neither do I.
I don't really like this one. I'm gonna say it's an F. And here's my thought, and I know people are gonna be mad. The reason I don't like it is that it's Jim Carrey overplaying the character. That is the problem. I don't think the CG is really well done. I just think it's well overplayed. I just don't understand why he overplayed this character.
I remember this movie getting a lot of marketing for no reason. Like it was just everywhere in your face. And when it came out, I couldn't tell you a single soul who like actually saw it at that time. I didn't see it until much later.
I'd rather watch Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh, that one's great.
Oh, it's perfect. I bought that. So my oldest son, We couldn't find it anywhere. This is before Disney was really had it on their Disney streaming.
Hmm.
He wanted it so bad, and I found it on Blu-ray and gave it to him for Christmas. He still has it. That is one of his all-time favorite ones. He will watch it. He'll have it on repeat. That one's great.
Yeah.
With Scrooge. Oh, this I just think was a big miss. It was expensive too. It was not cheap
Hmm.
to make it. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we were on that. Now, this one I really did like. It is the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
So this one's great. Besides having all the famous Muppets in there.
And Gonzo's the star as well.
Oh,
So
him
I
and
love.
Rizzo the Rat
Yep.
are narrating the story, but they're in the actual areas.
Yeah.
Also, you got Michael Caine
Yeah.
to play Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances of that? Sir Michael Caine. Isn't he a sir?
Yeah,
I think
he
he's like
is.
knighted. Okay. I love this movie. The music's great. I think the crazy thing is if you look careful enough, you can actually see Sesame Street characters in there.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big budget, Jim Henson. And I want to say this is one of the last films that he made before he passed away. I could be wrong, or maybe he passed away and this was made. We're gonna do some fact checking here.
I think he was already passed away.
I think so. I think it wasn't too shortly after. Maybe his son did it. Somebody did it in
Brian Henson was the director, so his son was. It was his directorial debut.
That's what it was. Okay, but I know Jim wanted to do a full-fledged movie like this, so I think this movie's great. I'm gonna say it's either a low A or high B. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think it's probably better than Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think this film's really good. This isn't my favorite Muppet movie for sure. I'm one of those weird guys who really likes Muppet from Space for no reason because I just like Gonzo. But Muppet Christmas Carol along with Muppet Treasure Island, those two are like two big ones for me. So yeah, I would say that this is low A around there. So yeah, I think that fits
How
well.
could you not like Treasure Island with, um, Tim Curry
Mm-hmm.
in that? Oh my gosh, I totally forgot he was in that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love. I grew up on Muppets. I grew up watching Sesame Street, as most people did. So we watch this every year. I think, and I want to say, like, I think streaming has helped with a lot of preservation of some of these films because a lot of these films would not. You'd have to try and find the Blu-ray. Now I own a lot of these Christmas films because a lot of them were you couldn't watch them anymore. So, yeah. So another one of my oldest son's favorite films is next, which is Fred Claus. So, talk about really good casts. Okay, so this one, Vince Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
You got Vince Vaughn, Annette Bening. You've got Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
What's his brother? Who's his brother? He's a pretty big actor too. I can't. Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
So basically, Vince Vaughn's brother is Santa, and he resents his brother because of his brother just being who he was, and he always got really jealous of that. So he needs to borrow money from his brother. So he ends up his brother's like, "Hey, you come here and work this." But then Kevin Spacey's there and watching and observing because they're trying to get rid of certain holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this movie's great.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates is in it too.
Yeah, she is. I was just noticing that.
The beginning scene where so Fred is a repo man. So he's repoing this literally the day a couple days before Christmas, he's repoing this girl's TV. And he's explaining her like how Santa's not there for her is the funniest thing in the movie, or him trying to explain things it's just typical Vince Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
I forgot Ludacris is in this film as well. He's one of the this movie's great. I want to say it's at least a B film. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I've always liked this film a lot. Yeah, I would say it's a B for sure.
Now, is it better than the Santa Claus and White Christmas, or is it in between the
I
two?
think it's probably in between the two.
I agree to that. Man, two more films left, and I'm kind of scared because I think you know where I want to put these. So we actually have the original Home Alone, and I have to say, I don't think there's been I think we watch this film throughout the year. I think this film is the more I see it, the better I feel like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Macaulay Culkin's this is not his starting role. He was an Uncle Buck first.
Yeah.
But this is a crazy good movie. If anyone here is listening, there's a Netflix series that talks about different movies and how they made them. You need to watch the Home Alone one. Um, they built the house on the outside. They only used those shots for a couple. The house itself on the inside, they built that house. That's
Mm-hmm.
a set,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Also, um, they talk about God. So the two bad guys obviously are hilarious.
Oh
But
yeah.
like so Joe's character, they kept telling him to stop swearing. And he had been in Goodfellas and Casino,
Mm-hmm.
and he swears a lot. So the scenes where he would just mumble, it was him trying not to swear on this kid's movie. Also, did you know they were not originally going with Daniel Stern?
Really?
Yeah, look it up. So basically, they had somebody else that they were going to go with, but he had commitments elsewhere. I learned this from that Netflix show. You guys really should watch it. It's like the movies we love. It's done by the same people that did the toys we love, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
different movies. Yeah, so they did one on Home Alone, and you need to watch it. It is probably the coolest thing I've ever. They've got original cast, um, and stuff, but Daniel Stern was not their original pick. And I'm gonna say, if it was anybody else, I don't think it would have been as iconic.
Kelsey Grammer was originally going to be in this movie too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Who is it? Daniel Roebuck, I said.
Yep.
Felt he was lacking chemistry with Pesci, so they brought back Stern. Huh.
And Joe
Uh,
Pesci is hilarious in this.
according to this too, it says John Mulaney was originally going to be Kevin
Really?
because he was scouted in a children's sketch comedy group, but John Mulaney's parents said no.
That's crazy. I know the guy that wrote and directed it. The reason that he picked Macaulay Culkin is because he just worked with them on Uncle Buck,
Yeah.
and so he was perfect. Which, yes, it's Macaulay Culkin's parents stole all his money, but for him to do this movie, anybody else, I don't think. That's why those other Home Alones didn't do well. This is perfect. I want to say
Yeah.
this is an S tier. I want to say it's an S tier after Scrooged. I don't know what your thoughts are. You're really thinking about this one.
Probably.
I mean, if we could do a high A, I would be okay with that. If you don't want to do S tier.
Well, because here's the thing: you want both of these in S tier. I know that for a fact. I'm gonna. Hmm. I'm gonna put Home Alone low S tier.
Okay. I can live with that.
Okay.
Because you're right. Because the next film is the GOAT of Christmas films, which is Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
Now, let's all look past of Chevy Chase being kind of a jerk in real life.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is everything that I think of as Christmas. You've got the family that just shows up to sleep at your house. This was back in the day where this is what we used to do. Now, if my family's like, "Hey, we'll just chill at your house. We'll just sleep over there." Nope, get a hotel. Um, but like, cousin Eddie is like perfect. Like bringing him back from the other ones to this pure comedy genius.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is one of the better ones, even though it's a different kids casted.
Yeah.
But you have, Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo's in it.
Randy Quaid.
Before he got crazy,
Yeah.
before he got paranoid. Also, the neighbor next door is not only but Elaine from Seinfeld.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was one of the snooty neighbors that live next door.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one of the neighbors. Look at him
Huh.
looking this up. He's like, wait, no way.
Elaine was in this movie.
Yep.
Yeah, she was. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know, shocked, right?
Yeah.
This movie is just so well done. I think anybody that does stuff for Christmas, the extreme stress from family and stuff like that, that's why I love this movie. I mean, I'm gonna say S tier on this one as well. But like, what are your thoughts of this movie, and like, what do you think it should be ranked?
My thoughts on this movie change all the time. I don't think it's ever bad. I think that this movie floats around S and A all the time for me. I don't know necessarily where that is. This is the movie that I want A Christmas Story to be, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So like A Christmas Story is just bland and whatever, and it has these moments, but they don't really mean anything. Whereas with this movie, it has moments, they mean stuff, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
So I would say that it's probably another A. Um, I like Scrooge too much to put it above Scrooged. But honestly, we can do this. What? I did something. We're still recording, yeah. I clicked the wrong button. So here's what I'm gonna do here for the audience at home. If you're watching on video, I'm going to move A Nightmare for Christmas and do that. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. I think it's such a good film that we gotta put it in S tier.
I think all these movies in S tier are great at any time of the year, I would say. And they're probably interchangeable depending on, except Elf. I feel like Elf is always going to be the top one.
Yeah,
all the others I feel like can move around at any time of the year.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
right now, I feel like I think Scrooge, personally for me right now, I think it's the second best one here, followed by Christmas Vacation and then that. But yeah,
Absolutely. Well, let's go through the list here. I'm making sure mine looks like what Alex has got here. I think I've got it. So we've got our S tier with is Elf, Scrooged, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Home Alone. A tier is A Christmas Carol, but this one is the musical. We got Home Sweet Home Alone. We got The Grinch. We've got Christmas with the Cranks. We've got A Muppet Christmas Carol and Jingle All the Way. B tier, we've got The Santa Claus. We got Fred Claus and White Christmas. C tier, we've got Ernest Saves Christmas, Arthur's Christmas, Bad Santa, 8-Bit Christmas, Friday After Next, Krampus, Violent Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, and Miracle on 31st Street. D tier, we've got The Grinch Who Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, A Christmas Story, Polar Express, and Jack Frost. And then, unfortunately, last but not least, in our F tier, we have a Disney Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, and they spent way too much money on. So, I mean, are you happy with the list? Are you happy with where everything's at?
this is kind of where I expected everything to be honest. So I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily happy. I'm just content with. I knew this was going to happen this way.
What's funny is I knew one of my S's was going to be Scrooged in National Lampoon, but I was like, man, what if Alex is trying to say that Scrooged isn't very good, or he knows my thoughts on that with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Like, what happens then? I was like, but then you were like agreeing on them, so I was like, you know
Uh,
what?
I love Scrooge.
That's
Scrooge
good.
is a film that I watch every year. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I love that film. And that's why I think it goes those two specifically. I don't watch Christmas Vacation as much as I used to. But the first two there, Elf and Scrooge, are two movies that I watch once a year at least, maybe multiple times a year.
yeah. I think looking at this list now, I think if you have not seen some of these, definitely go out and reach some of these. Maybe not our F tier, but everything above F tier seems to be ones that we've at least watched or watched again. If you're listening or watching this, just know that we are on vacation. We do a podcast all year long. And so, usually November, December, Alex and I decide to take a break to get creative juices flowing for when we come back.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it's a lot getting episodes to you guys every other week for the entire year. So, just know that if you message us or whatever, we don't get back with you right away. We are going to really try and take a break here this year. It's been a crazy busy year with a lot of great things that have happened.
Yeah.
We want to be refreshed for next year.
Yeah.
If you are listening, we would love for the fact if you are on Spotify, hit that follow button there because that does a lot for us. We're trying to get to 100. We would love to be at 100 followers on Spotify. And if you check out our YouTube, check out some of our reviews. We have some really good reviews
Or
up.
interviews.
Yeah, we have some amazing interviews that we've done this year. So definitely check those out. I would suggest Jay and Rob from the Nintendo Quest and soon N64 Quest is what they have been working on now. Definitely check those ones out or any of the ones from our developers we've talked to.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've definitely done a lot this year. We are warranted a break here. Alex, do you have anything else to say?
Nothing much except happy holidays and get at it.
Happy holidays. Get at it.